Hi everyone, this is your girl Shy. I figured that I'll go ahead and make this video. As most of you guys already know, if you watch my old videos, that I am on vacation this week. But I decided to do a video. This is not a sinking fun, endless stuffing, challenges videos that I do. This is more of a heart to heart kind of talk, like a story time and how I feel. And why I wanted to make this video was maybe because I wanted to stay connected to my budget community, connected to you guys. And then I feel like I owe to my audience, and if since I couldn't do any like money stuffing envelope video this week because I didn't bring anything with me to Atlanta, I figured that I'll go ahead and make a video and actually share something really personal about my life. I wanted to stay in track. This video will also motivate me, give me inspiration, and then also, if I can touch anybody's heart or, show to you guys that how my journey started. What was the reason that my journey did start? So this video is about how and why I start budgeting and why I got so interested in our money matter in our house and why I start doing what I do and you know giving myself education about saving and budgeting and find learn about Dave Ramsey and reading books about how money is important, what we can do to save and be happy if things that we need. So a little backstory: I grew up in an immigrated poor family. As most of you guys know, low income. My parents were not educated. They used to do labor jobs, and we pretty much couldn't afford a lot of things. But that's a story for another day. We can definitely make another video out of it. But this story started when I became married at age of 24. And I got married to my husband when I was 24 years old. And financially, my husband was very well established. He had a couple of businesses, comfortable life, and could afford, like, we were not millionaires, but we could afford a lot of things that I couldn't afford before marriage or growing up I couldn't afford. So imagine living in a lifestyle where you cannot afford anything to suddenly given everything that you really didn't have to work hard for, but you were just given, like handed down like a gold spoon, pretty much that, hey, this is, you can spend, it's yours, you're the queen. And my husband did treat me like queen. He never asked me where I was spending my money, gave me a credit card, gave me a debit card, gave me cash, whatever I needed. I could go shopping every day, I could buy whatever I wanted. We went on vacations. We actually went out to eat to nice restaurants all the time, and it was just a life changed. And I guess I enjoyed more because I didn't have anything when before marriage. And in fact, when I got married to my husband, I actually married into like bringing debt. I had credit card bills. I was not smart with my money. I had credit card bills. I had student loans that I started school and didn't even graduate, didn't even like get anything out of that college degree. Or I didn't even had a degree, I just didn't finish college. And but I had the debt, and I was working a retail job, just making minimum wage, but I was spending more than my mean. But so when I got married to my husband paid off all my credit cards with no question asked, paid all my student loans, didn't even asked me if I wanted to work or go to school. He pretty much told me whatever made me happy I could do. If I wanted to get a job, do it. If I wanted to go to school, do it. Whatever made me happy is what he wanted me to do. And we had a great life. Obviously we were living really good, going out and having fun. And I decided to start. I got a job at Old Navy because I moved from Atlanta to Ohio, and I didn't know anybody there. My husband doesn't have a big family in Ohio, and we had our mosque people, but I didn't know a lot of people, so I needed people to hang out. I needed a social life, I needed people that I were my age, that getting, I could get to know. So I started working at Old Navy, and I didn't want to do retail anymore. Like it was just, obviously I was not doing for money. I was just doing for socializing. So when you don't have any goals out of things, you really don't take things seriously. So whatever I made in Old Navy, I spent in Old Navy, like buying clothes. And so I decided to go to school. No agenda. It was not for a degree. I wasn't even thinking about my future, what I can do. I just wanted to go to school and meet people and socialize. So I got myself in a community college, and I decided to go for nursing. Because my sister was a nurse at that time, and I was like, oh, I like to do nursing, and let me go ahead and try it. And I started, but it was not for money. It was not like, oh, I have to graduate faster to go ahead and get a degree. I need a job. It was more like, okay, I want to go in with my own pace and enjoy life. And then while I was in school, I became pregnant, and pretty much like while I was in school, because I was going so slow, I had, like I said, I had no goals. Like, my husband was paying for college out of his pocket, never asked any questions. I wasn't working, so, everything was great. And then I delivered my baby girl, and I was 27, so I delivered my baby girl, it was great. Like, my girl had 100 pair of shoes. I was always shopping for her. She had all the things that she didn't even use when she was growing up. Like, the toys that I bought my girl, and like everything, we didn't even use it. But, obviously at that time, I wasn't thinking about wasting money or saving or anything like that. I was more like, oh, what I didn't have, I'm going to give it to my girl. And that was my philosophy. Like, whatever I didn't have growing up, I'm just going to give it to her. So she had shoes, and she had best dress. And, again, we were going on vacation. She was going to the good daycare, and I was in school. And finally, I was almost like, I had a last semester left of school. So I had good grades, and, I made a lot of friends along the way. And I, used to go out with my friends and stuff like that. And I was really close to graduating, when one night my husband said that he wanted to have a conversation with me. And that conversation changed my life. So one night he told me, hey, let's talk after we put, the baby girl to sleep. I really want to have a serious discussion with you. And I said, okay, I'll be right there. I'm thinking he's going to tell me about a new vacation, or is he buying me a new car? Or like, our conversations were never about money. It was, unless I was asking him for money, it was never like what we had. Like, I never asked him how much we had saved up, how much credit card debt we had, what was he doing, like how much he was making in the business, how much like his expense was, how much he was taking out of the business. I didn't know anything about like the money, like wise in our house. And I'll explain you why. But I had no idea. I had no idea what, we had. I just knew how to spend money at that point, right? And I wasn't thinking, because obviously I'm not blaming growing up, obviously. I wish I had learned something growing up the way I grew up, but I didn't. I took the wrong path, and I just was thinking about spending money. So when he had said that he wants to talk to me, I'm thinking, okay, must be something, like, oh, vacation or whatever, And then I remember getting to the bed, and, I asked him, I said, what's up? And he told me, we're broke. We have nothing. And I looked at him and I said, broke? Like, broke what? What do you mean broke? Like, what is that supposed to mean? Because before then we never had any money discussion. So I had no idea, what does he mean by broke? Like, I didn't even ask him how much we have in saving. All I knew that we built this beautiful home that we had, that he was paying the mortgage. I didn't even know how much our mortgage was. That's how sad and shameful that I probably sound right now. I had no idea how much our mortgage was, how much he paid the down for our house. So I'm like, what do you mean we're broke? And he's like, well, for past year, I lost a lot in my business, and I had to close down almost all my businesses. And for past couple of months, I have been digging into our saving, and our credit card bills are really high. And obviously when you own a business, in order for you to get a supply, you give the money up front and you buy the supplies, and now he has all these supplies, businesses are closed, and he owes all this money to vendors, and we had no money. We had credit card bills. He said in our checking account, I only have $200-300. We had my daughter's CD account when she was born, and that was he had to break it to get that money out, because he had to pay the mortgage and stuff. And I was speechless. I'm like, I really, at that point I'm thinking, wow, like I've never even asked this man, and he's been had this financial burden on his shoulder for so many years, and I've never even asked him. How selfish of a wife I was that I didn't even ask him, like, hey, are we okay financially? That $300 purse that I just bought, can we really afford that purse? And he said, now we do have to cut down on our expenses. Like, I'm talking about no extra expenses. We have to sell some of the stuff that we have. And if worst comes scenario, we probably have to sell this house too, because I cannot, pay the mortgage. And thank God that the car that we had at that time, they both were paid off. So at least, the cars were paid off. But I didn't even know that. I just knew that night that our cars were paid off. So he told me that we have to make a lot of life changes. And he, at that time, told me that, that's how it is. He's going to have to find a job. He's going to have to, work on making making money, so he's going to have to find a job now that he didn't have business. I mean, he still had one business, but didn't have much, right? So he said he's going to have to find a job, and he was just letting me know that we have to cut down. And that's all he said. There was no, like, what can we do to cut that? It was more like, now we have to cut it down. And that night, I couldn't sleep. And I was all night, I'm thinking that I never learned about money, never learned how to budget, and never learned about how to be saver and how to be money smart. I was spending, but what do I have to show for? I mean, hell, I didn't even buy any stocks with them, or I didn't even buy any gold with it. I just had junk in my closet that, yeah, they were name brand when I bought it, and now what are they worth? Nothing. And it's not my husband's fault, and I'm really not blaming him. I'm not even blaming my culture. But in our culture, when we are growing up, it's always like kind of separate the gender differences, right? I remember the girls are always taught, hey, you need to be a good wife, so you need to learn how to cook and take care of, your kids, and you have to know how to take care of your husband. And the guy of the house is always taught how to make money, because he's gonna be the breadwinner, and he's gonna have to take care of the whole family. He's gonna be making money and make a living for his family. And that's exactly what my husband was doing, right? He was working hard, and he was making a living for our family and treating me like a queen and my girl a princess. And that's what he was taught. That's what he learned from his parents, because his mom was a housewife, and the dad did all the money worries, where the bills would go, how to pay the bills, kids' bills, everything like that. And the mom just, took care of the kids. And that's how it was in my house. It's so funny. Even though we lived, we were in America, my mom did the same thing. She worked a 12-hour shift or whatever shift she worked. But when she got the paycheck, she always gave it to my dad. She gave it to my dad. And my dad actually paid all the bills. And me, on the other hand, was same thing. My husband was paying all the bills. I mean, we had banks, things together, but I never deposited the money. I never had a paycheck coming, right? It was more like swiping the card wherever I wanted to. And so I thought about how I had no idea, like, the money wise. Like, I've never thought about saving, budgeting. What can I do? I don't even know how much I have in the bank. I don't even know how much we owe in a credit card. I didn't know how much my mortgage was. What was our grocery bill? I didn't even know how much we spent. I mean, we went grocery shopping, but I didn't know where the money, like, obviously I was buying whatever I could find to buy, like I wanted to buy everything, in the grocery store. I wasn't looking at the prices or the sales or, even for the clothes. I wasn't looking for sales. I was just buying stuff. And my husband was obviously thought to do this, like, hey, taking care of your wife and taking care of your kids. And I, at that time, thinking, what can I do to change this? What can I do to help my husband and contribute to this marriage? Because it's not only his marriage, I'm in this marriage too. It's not only his kid, it's my kid too. It's not only his house, it's my house too. And since he, as a husband, helped me wash dishes and helped me do laundry and helped me take care of my girls, I could help him with financially too, and I wanted that financial freedom for us. I didn't want my husband to go through this burden on his own, even though he didn't ask me. I didn't want him to, him to be alone at this. And I wanted to learn because I did not want my daughter to go through what I was going through. I mean, now we were suddenly had money and now we're poor again, right? I didn't want my daughter to go through this. I didn't want it. If she was young at that point, but I did not want it. I wanted to teach her. I didn't want her to go through the same thing that I was going through. That suddenly she's poor, then rich, and then poor, and then go crazy with money, or didn't have money and always had to worry about money. I mean, you cannot just have money and you'll spend it. You need to learn how to take care of that money, how to grow that money, and that I didn't know. So that morning, I told my husband, I want to learn about our financial situation. I wanted to know each dollar were we spending and were we not spending. I want to know each bill that you pay. I want to know each credit card that we have and how much we owe in that credit card. I also want to know how much you're going to be making or you make. I also told him, I graduated from nursing school, got my license, so I was applying for jobs, and I actually got, I got a job. So I knew how much I would be making. I think a week before when this conversation happened, I actually found out that I got the job. And what I thought week before for that job and what I thought week after for that job totally changed. I knew I had to work hard in that job to make that money to pay off these debts. And that morning I told him with a paper, and I remember like a rough paper and a pen, and I told him, I want you to write down all the bills that we have. I want you to write down all the banks, we have and how much money we have in that bank. And I want to know each and everything. I'm in this together with you. And we did, and we sat down, and then then I was like, okay, so let's, from our, how are we going to cut down and make that money? And we had to make a lot of life changes. It didn't come overnight. Things didn't change that day, I thought about what other things I can do to change that. And I started researching, like, how can we pay off this credit card bills and all these debts quicker? And that's when I came across Dave Ramsey, the way he was, paying about the debt. And then like I learned and I researched and I saw, at that time, I think YouTube was not that popular, or I don't think I remember YouTube, that I don't remember, but I remember like I started reading books. I went to the library and I started learning about saving, and I started learning about everything. And then at that time, I remember I was so confused, but I wrote down our income, and I wrote down how much we're going to go in the bills and how we're going to pay the debt and how we're going to pay my daughter's school. And, we had gas. And that's when I realized how small things add up, like gas and like groceries and that meals that we were, even though I cooked and we were eating out and, little activities that we did, everything was adding up. And the first thing I did was I had to make life changes. I had to start cooking at home. I had to cook from whatever I had. I had to basically become, smart about money. And I had to smart about my grocery shopping and my spending. And I had to make it work. I had to live like I had nothing, and I didn't have anything, but, I had to live like I had nothing. I was, and I remember how my mom did things and how, like, other people would do. And when I start shopping at, Dollar Journal, and, I start looking for new recipes with beans and rice, whatever were cheap. So that was one cut that we did. Another thing I did was I used to tell my husband that we need to take, first pay the bills, and whatever we have left over every month, we need to save some money for rainy days. And we did. It was not much, but it was something, and we were taking that out, and I would keep cash at home. Because in the bank, we were paying the bills, but again, end of the month, we had nothing, and we had to say, we have a little girl at that time, we had, anything could happen. And I'm so grateful that I had insurance through work, because before that we didn't have insurance. It was out of pocket kind of thing. But we still had to save up for rainy days, right? I mean, and God forbid something happened. And that's when I learned about saving and budgeting and being frugal, and talking to people, and how people, talking to people who had nothing and now they had something, and just talking to them and learning how did they live their life. And I swear to God, you don't realize it, but people around you are so useful. You just have to talk to them, and you have to ask them. And everybody has a story to tell. And all my friends and people that I knew had some sort of story when it comes to money. Everybody has a story. Somebody grew up poor, somebody was poor, somebody, had drug habits and now they're trying to make their life, or somebody had to support their family, somebody were living paycheck to paycheck, and everybody had a story, some sort of story. Some people had money and they just didn't, again, in my situation, they didn't know how to save. And that's when I realized that I had so much to learn, and I start learning about budget. And we finally, cutting down short, I did pay off our debt last year. We finished all our debt. The only debt that we have, that is our mortgage, and we just bought a new car. And so that's a monthly, and then the regular small bills. But we paid off our bills. We did take money out. We did the snow ball, whatever, but we did it differently. And we paid off our debt, and then I decided to learn more, because now our debt's paid off. I want to save. And you put money in saving, and then you basically want to learn more, because that situation could come back, right? I mean, I cannot go back to living the way we were living. So now I'm afraid, right? That's anxiety that I have, that I don't want to go back. Now I have two girls, right? I have my second one is 4 years old. So we had her 4 years ago, and we were still paying our debt, but we were okay. We were working really hard. I was picking up all the shifts I could. I, never called a day off at work. In fact, I went back to school and got my bachelor's, and my husband, picked up side hustles. And then, believe it or not, I worked really hard. We paid off our debt, and then I wanted to learn more. And I did that. I learned about stocks last year, and I invested some money in stocks. And then I came across this budgeting, envelope stuffing, and budgeting. Looked through YouTube, and I actually found it. And I think it's a great idea, and it's great. So now what we do is we actually go on, pay all of our bills. We have three banking. I think I mentioned in my videos, we have 3 bank accounts. So one, all our paycheck goes to, and we take money out. We pay all our bills through that, whatever bills we have, and whatever is left over, I take it out, and I do endless stuffing from that. And then all my challenges, I do hold a PR position in another hospital, and because of vacation, I get called a lot. So I obviously, can do that money with challenges. And I'm now teaching my kids how to be money smart, and how to save and do budgeting. And now I like to see my cash and see if I have money for it or not. I learned, do I need this or do I want it? Can I wait for it? And I don't want any credit card bills. We we only have one credit card now, and we use it for points, obviously, but then we pay off right away. And just learning new skills, how to save and how to invest, and what else can we do. And it's a learning experience, and this is my reason for joining YouTube and making videos and sharing my stories with all the beautiful ladies and gents out there, to show that, if I could do it being that stupid, anybody can do it. And, I learn when I watch anybody's video, I learn so much. Everybody has different way of doing things, and it's great to be in that community, the budget community, where you're learning so much and getting their kids involved, and everybody's doing different things. And you know and I haven't told in my people in like that I know in real life about me opening a YouTube channel, because sometimes I feel shy, and I don't want to tell people, just like I never told people that we lost everything, we were broke. You listen to people, but you don't really share your story, because somewhere you are shy and you're shameful. But I opened the YouTube channel to talk to people, someone who is like me, that we do the same thing, and learning from them and sharing our things that we have, and touch people's heart, and learning and motivating and inspiration. I just love it. I love that we have that community where I'm learning. So that's why I started the YouTube channel, because I feel like that would not only I will learn, but I can teach and I can explain. And my YouTube channel did not mean anything if I don't explain why I started what I started. Everybody has the reason to start what they're doing. This was my reason. I had to do it for my family, and I had to do it for my kids, and I had to learn. I mean, I felt like it was rebirth for me, that I learned all that. So it's a learning experience. I'm still learning, and I want any kind of advice that anybody can give me, and any kind of comment, and anything that you want to share with me, anything you want to ask me, please do so. I'm open to this conversation. I don't think I'm very ready to talk to people that I know in real life about this yet, but that I'm doing envelope stuffing, because not everybody is want to hear about it. People just think that they can save in the bank, or but I think that envelope stuffing and keeping sinking fund in cash and bringing it home works for me, and it does work for me. And another thing I wanted to say was that my husband is all about saving and putting stuff in the bank. He's not on board about keeping cash at home and doing envelope stuffing, but it works for me because I know where my money is going. I know where I'm spending, and I know that where how much I need to save, and I put myself in a budget. Like, this is how much we have. He's on, like, he understands when I tell him, hey, we only have $100 grocery budget, but he's like, we could put this in the bank, and I mean, we are already saving money and we don't have any debt, but I don't want to go through that. So I tell him, no, I'm going to take that money out, and I'm going to put a budget for us. I'm going to tell you how much we need to spend. And he's not on board with it, but he's supporting me, just like he supported me when I was money stupid. He's supporting me now. So I am, when I see these ladies who their better half are on board with them, it's a blessing, because sometimes I have to argue with my husband, like, hey, this is what I want to do, because he doesn't understand the concept of going to the bank and taking the money out. He's like, well, just can put in the saving. We can put in the saving, and we can look at our bank statements and we can realize how much we're spending. But that's not what I want. I don't want to swipe my card. I want to know how much I'm spending, exactly how much I need to spend. And if I'm saving up for something, I want to save up for something. And if I don't have it, we're not buying it. So that's another thing. That's why I'm in this community. That's why I started YouTube. That's why you see me, mingling around with other YouTuber channels. You see my comments, my long comments. I really thank you for all your support that you guys gave me. And I just wanted to say that please like my video and, comment, subscribe. If you want more story times, we want to know how I grew up, with what I grew up, please let me know. Any kind of questions you want to ask me. You need someone to share your story with, and I want to share my story, and I want to hear other people's stories. So thank you for listening. I'm sorry this is a very long video. Please like, subscribe, comment. I love interacting with you. It's like my friends. You guys are my friends out there, and I really consider you guys, each one of you, my budgeting family. So thank you very much for listening, and please do comment. Thank you. Have a great day.